Not my wife, not your wife, nor anybody listening to this podcast is
Welcome to Recovery Unfiltered.
Fuck, I ran late on that one.
Rob, I am also an alcoholic. We are not professionals. There are no letters
I'm
after our
horrible.
names. We know very little. However, you will hear the word God and a four-letter word in the same sentence. You will also be offended. So if you are easily offended, just pass us by. This podcast is not for you.
Our opinions are just that. If you don't agree with what we're saying, that's okay. We're going to love you anyways. We are not
Motherfucker got too many
affiliated
toys.
with AA.
So sit back, grab a beverage of your choice, and get ready.
Let's go.
That's my favorite one. Hi, Rob.
How you doing, brother? Oh, I'm going to say one more thing. My sister said to tell you.
What?
Yes, motherfucker, she's got a step stool and it's tall enough to reach your head, so be
Look
careful.
out.
Look out.
I love her. How's she doing?
Doing all right. She's in a lot of pain right now. She's
Really?
in a lot of pain. We're just hoping this cadaver piece holds.
Is she paying because Bonnie's there or paying because of the surgery?
Just pain because of the surgery and all that.
The only reason why I said that is because I know Bonnie's listening. I want her to be mad at me.
No shit.
I don't want her to be mad at you anymore.
She's not usually mad at me. I can't remember the last time she was mad at me. She probably wouldn't have said anyway. Oh, I know the last time she was mad when I said I was a single man for the next 6 weeks.
That's funny. That scared all of us though when you said that.
Yeah.
So welcome back,
Thank you. We got Brandon with us.
Brandon.
I'm back.
Hold on. Wait. There.
Hey. Thank you. I'll stand up and bow.
I got my toy working again. Katie
Okay.
hates when I use that thing.
Well, so Larry had a topic where Brandon, you had said something when Gabe spoke at the meeting. I said, "Who's your sponsor? Who you're working with?" You said when he shared it, you realized he needed you,
Yeah.
and that gave you purpose.
It did.
Another
A sense of
feeling.
of purpose. Yeah. Yeah. He needed somebody.
What did he share? I mean,
He had a rough couple days, and
He was struggling.
Yeah, he was struggling. He was mad. He spent an hour and a half before the meeting looking for his wallet, couldn't find it, and his girlfriend told him, "You don't need your wallet. You're just going to an AA meeting." And he's like, "Yeah, you're right." And then he got in the car, and there was his wallet. I could totally relate with that. Yeah. I thought, dude, you should have called me. We could have helped each other, because I've been dealing with that too. But
you know what? That's what sponsorship is right there.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I want to read something because we are going to talk about sponsorship. So, and yes, Larry's reading again. An AA sponsor is a member of Alcoholics Anonymous who helps newer members stay sober. Sponsors are a key part of AA recovery program. What does an AA sponsor do? Provide support. Sponsors encourage and support to newcomers or sponsees in working the 12-step program. Sponsors share their experience of AA to help the sponsee. Sponsors answers questions about AA. Sponsors provide a sympathetic friend who cares and can be confided in. So, I mean, it's so very crucial on what, you know, when I first got sober and I walked into primary purpose, I felt home, right? I felt home in a crowd of people. I've never felt comfortable ever walking into a room. And I've never felt, you know, I was always uncomfortable when I had to speak in front of a large group of people, but I was uncomfortable that I had to speak, but wasn't uncomfortable that I had to speak. I was uncomfortable being around a bunch of people. That was the first time I'd walked in a group of people where I thought I just fit in, right?
Yeah.
Because in my mind, as I walked in, we're all just a bunch of drunks. I knew that, right? We were all alike. And then I met my sponsor. And when I met him, very gracious, loving human being. As I started walking through the steps with him, right away, I felt that there wasn't the connection that I thought I was going to have, that I'd heard about as that sponsor-sponsee relationship. I just didn't feel it. There may have been the big age gap. I don't know what it was. It just wasn't comfortable. And I've said this before, and then Rob, I don't know, a few weeks into it, comes walking into the room. I didn't even know who this man was, but whatever he had, I fucking wanted it.
yeah.
And then he sat behind me and I heard him speak, and I'm like, this motherfucker he ain't leaving here without me grabbing a hold of him.
Yeah.
Right. And I knew that, right? That, and when I grabbed him and he told me, yeah, I'll sponsor you, and these are the 4 things, right? And he gave me his rules. I'm like, I have no fucking problem. Can we start right now? You know, I was wanting it that bad.
and that's usually the men God brings to me
Right.
are ready for that, because I do the way the old timers do them. As Brandon knows, you both know. Let's go, because we need relief. We need that. And
But I had to have that, but I can't give that. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes.
I mean, I think some people are going to be great sponsors.
Yeah.
You know, Rob is a textbook sponsor.
No, I'm not textbook.
Well,
according to today's AA, I'm anything from fucking textbook according to today's AA. Sorry.
Why don't you shut your phone off, you motherfucker? God
off.
damn it.
Please silence your phones.
Please silence your phones. But you are to me because you do it the way that book says. That's what
To
I
the best
mean
of
by
my
your.
ability. Yeah.
You do it by that text, and the ones that don't do it by the text are not doing justice to the men in AA or the women of AA. Right? Yeah. That book is successful for a reason. That book is successful because Dr. Bob and Bill W. wrote that book. They wrote that book in the way it works, right? And you know what's funny is I got something else that I wrote down. And so I read this morning, did some reading because I was going to do some research. And here's another thing I came up with. I love this part right here. Sponsorship and meetings are not specifically outlined as a must in the book. However, the date used to establish the founding of AA is not when Bill W. had his last drink. It is a day Bill W. sat across from Dr. Bob at an Akron kitchen table. Bill was there on a business trip he had attended at Oxford Group meeting and told his story and said he was worried that he might drink. They told him about a member, the town doctor, who was also the town drunk. Despite wanting desperately to stop drinking, nothing seemed to help. They asked Bill to go visit because one of the tenants of the Oxford Group was giving testimony, basically sharing your story of what it was like, what happened, and what it was like now. The basis of sharing still a vital part of AA. So Bill at the kitchen table across from Dr. Bob, who had a glass of whiskey and was drinking, Bill started to talk, telling his story. Sometime during the marathon, Dr. Bob stopped drinking. He believed that Bill was telling the truth and that maybe he could also get sober. That was when AA was founded. That it is also the first sponsorship. So
June 10th, 1935 is the birth of AA. That's Dr. Bob's first day of permanent sobriety. So yeah, because this is so important. So we're going to do this on page, because the word sponsor is not in the first 164. You're absolutely right. You know why that is? Does anybody know why? I'm going to tell you why. Well, I'm just going to go on page 163. It says, though you be but one man with this book in your hand, we believe it contains all you will need for sobriety. You know, so that's how when Bill wrote this, because there was one fellowship in Akron, that's when I got started. Then there was New York. But when they wrote this, and it was published in 1939, which was 4 years after Bill and Bob got sober. Bill got sober in December 34. Bob, June 10th, 1935. Then there was 4 years of Cowboys and Indians as a, Then this book went out, and say Brandon's wife got it to him, or we went and found it on a bookshelf out here in California. That's the way it was intended, just like our brother John did it.
Right.
You grab this book, you do the best of your ability, and then the forward of the first edition says, we shall be interested to hear from those who are getting results from this book, particularly from those who have commenced work with other alcoholics. So that's his intention of this. Right. That's why sponsorship's not in there. There's what you work the book, then you go become what they call a sponsor.
Spread it. Right.
Yeah. So that's why the word sponsor is not in the big book, because in the first 164, because they weren't there. That's not the intention of Bill. That's why the language you hear, and as you know, and when you read it like that, when you read how it works, chapter 5, you see his language next, launched out, vigorous action. You know, the next, he doesn't give you time. Go, go, go. That's the purpose.
You know, and I think the reason why this topic came up to me yesterday is because when I was sitting there looking at Gabe and watching him in his pain, and he was in pain, right? I mean, I saw it.
Oh yeah.
Anybody in that room saw his pain, right? And then he sat there and said, I wanted to call my sponsor, but I didn't want to bother him. I wanted to reach up and punch him right square in the fucking mouth. I'm like, why would you do that? Two reasons why it upset me, right? One, why would you sit there and suffer? It's something we just talked about last week, right? Why do you sit there and suffer in your own waller? Why do that? Don't do that. That is the worst thing an alcoholic can do.
It's dangerous. Is
sit there and just stew in your own shit.
Yep.
Don't do that. The other thing was, why would you be so fucking selfish as to take away from your sponsor, giving him the opportunity to work with another human being?
To be of service to a brother.
To be of service. Yeah. Because you needed it.
Oh, yeah. It definitely would have helped both of us. Yeah, because we were going through the same thing. Somebody asked me the other day at primary, Dawson asked me, hey, I hear you're sponsoring somebody. I said, yeah. He goes, how's he doing? I go, probably better than me. And then the next day that happened. And I was like, oh, we're doing the same.
That's so funny, though. That's one man helping another man. That's what this fucking book is about.
Yep.
That's what this is about. It doesn't matter. And somebody said yesterday that one guy had 10 days and the other guy had 19 days. Doesn't mean that you guys, tell him how you got to 19 days, right? Tell him how you got there. That's one man helping another human being.
It's that simple.
It's that simple. I am fucking horrible at one-on-one. I can't do it. I've tried to do it. I've tried it 2 or 3 different times now. And because I demand so much from other people. Now, if I had somebody that came in and was ready to go hard at it, I probably would do it, right? But I haven't had that. God has not put that in me. God has not put that in front of me. Now, he's put me other hard cases that I've worked with, Chris being one. I worked with that guy for months trying to help him. Who knows where he's at now? He may be dead. I have no idea.
I guarantee you he ain't sober.
It's in God's hands at this point.
It all is.
Anyway. I did exactly how God walked me through that, and I did it.
But here's the thing: if another Larry walked into your door, you'd have no problem sponsoring another Larry, but you wouldn't grow through that. No, God ain't going to bring that to you.
No, I agree with that.
I've had a Larry walk in. I've had a Brandon walk in. I've had and as you navigate,
I don't think there's another Larry out there.
Praise God.
Damn it.
But the one thing you two had in common, you were ready.
Oh,
because the one thing I couldn't give, the one thing we can't give to anybody, which is desire, they can say willingness, which is also, I like the word desire better, whatever. But you guys had that in spades.
Right.
And that's all I need. Beyond everything in that, if you got that, we can go. If you don't have that, I don't waste my time. That's because
I think the hard thing for me as a sponsor, when I was, like I said, the couple times I did it, is that they just, and it goes back to me, right? It's me, because why are you not getting this? Is it something I'm doing wrong that you're not getting this? Because the couple that I've tried to sponsor, they just weren't getting it the way I got it, right? The way I picked up on it, the way I grabbed a hold of it, the way I wanted more and more and more. The cat that you chased
out of your house, he didn't want it.
No, not at all. And it pissed me off, right? I don't want to waste my time, right? But it also goes back to that. God hasn't brought, if God brought me one and said, you're going to work with this guy, I would work with him. Okay. I have never denied that.
Yeah.
Brandon, where is Gabe at as far as his step work? Is he in the men's, is he on the night step? Is he at the men's portion?
We talked about it after the meeting, and he said he is through his amends. And I told him, well, then you just need to work the last 3 steps in your daily affairs now.
Right.
10, 11, and 12. Yeah.
But the hard part's done with him.
Yeah.
He's doing good.
Well,
yeah, he's doing good.
And by the time the meeting was over, he was a different person.
Was he?
Because he got it out.
Yeah, he had to talk.
Oh, yeah. And then we talked for a few minutes afterwards, me, him, and Doug. And all 3 of, Doug was fine already, but me and Gabe felt better. I felt better that I could help him. And I talked to him, and I told him, don't ever hesitate to call me. I said, I might have to tell you, I'll call you right back. Give me 5 minutes.
Right.
But I'll never not, take your call. And if you're upset or whatever, call me, because I'm probably upset too. And we can get through this together.
That's that one man working with another man
together.
And it for me, like I said, I've never sponsored. Well, I can't say that I have, but it just been, they've failed, but I've never had another. I'm not going to go up to somebody, say, do you need a sponsor? I'm going to sponsor you. I just can't do that.
I don't believe that's the right way to do it anyway, but
that's good. The way I was approached with a situation, I think, a few days ago. I was at primary, and this 2 guys came in late, and one guy had been there before, needed a sponsor, and he brought his buddy that had never been to a meeting. And I talked to both of them afterwards, and I was telling them, I said, look, if you really want this, you need to get a sponsor and work the steps. I'm telling you, it'll make a huge difference in your life. And they said, well, I think this guy's my sponsor. I go, well, you think, or he is? And he says, well, I think we are. I said, well, no one that I know of is going to ask you to be their sponsor. You have to go ask them. And I just kind of left it. I looked at them both in the eyes like, this is how it works. You have to ask us, and then we'll be more than happy to help you, but we're not going to come out there and ask you. Mm-mm. And I told the guy that had never been to a meeting before, I said, look, I'm willing to be a sponsor. I said, but you have to take the step and
exactly
right.
Because it is a step.
Be willing to do that.
Right. Well, that's admitting you got a problem.
And then they were going to dinner after, and I wasn't going. And then I don't know, I felt bad because I didn't go to dinner. I thought maybe I should have went, but I thought I didn't want to eat there. So I went
Then don't eat. God, you planted a seed. Perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So,
the guy that was speaking yesterday, who was awesome, that Pat brought a guy in by the name of Travis.
yeah, he was good.
And I liked what he said. He goes, I talked to my sponsor, and he knows he's my sponsor because I tell him he's my
Yeah,
sponsor.
that was a good way to start that.
That was funny. Yeah. What did I hear a while back? That my home group knows I'm their home group because I go to my home group. Yeah. I mean, and it's that way. I mean, I no longer have a sponsor, right? These guys that have been in the you talk to some of these guys 20, 30 years in AA, and they say, well, I talked to my sponsor the other day. I talked to my sponsor. I don't ever say I talked to my sponsor. I say I talked to my group of guys, right?
Yeah. Or brothers now.
Brothers.
The reason
right?
and the reason they do that because there's
I like it.
Women are different, and I disagree with the way a lot of that. Again, we want to get into it if we can, but when like Bill or Bob or Pat, that's just a man that they are accountable to.
Right.
Now they're not only accountable to God first and foremost, but there's a man that helps keep them sharp. That they knows all their bullshit,
right?
And they can ownership. The sponsorship ends like Brandon just said. After you worked your night, as I get, hey, have you made your amends to your mother yet? No, I got to go fucking get that done. Then I break down steps 10, 11, 12.
Hold them accountable.
What those look like. Sponsorship over. Now we are brothers who are supposed to sharpen one another. Right. And I need sharpening as much as the next piece of iron does.
And it also goes back to this is there's shit that Brad and I go through that because Brad and I are so close in the same age that we can work together, and I'd rather call Brad on some stuff than call Rob on some stuff. And there's stuff that Doug and I relate to better than what Rob and I would relate to.
That's what I need to reach out more for that.
1,000%. Well, I don't know if it's specialized or somebody you feel comfortable.
It's exactly. But what is Rob, Brandon?
Right.
Either one of you can answer this. On the bottom of the step work that we do, what does Rob write? What do I write? I'm using Rob in third person. What does Rob write on the bottom of each of those papers? What
I
does it
don't
say?
fucking know.
How free do you want to be?
Thank you. You know, good motherfucker. He does.
I don't remember that shit.
How free do you want to be? And that's a question. It doesn't just
and that's a true fact.
That doesn't end at step
right.
That ends in life. Brandon, how free do you want to be? Call Daryl up if gives you guys that you have whatever you have that something in common or so and so's already been through this. If I lose a child, me and Matt are close anyway. That kind of because me and Jason are brother. Get that. Yeah. Right. How free do you want to be? I don't want to stew in my own shit.
And that's the reason why I say that opening up, talking to Katie, I'll talk to my daughters if I need to. There's something that one of my daughters can help me with or talk about. I'll talk to one of my daughters about it. I don't really give a shit. My son-in-laws, I talk to them about a lot of shit, right? I can't keep that shit in my head. I need a person to speak to.
And usually for me, 99.8%, it's going to be a man because I are one. Yeah. And you guys can relate better. That's why I prefer men's meetings. That's why
I are one.
I are one. I are a man.
Fucking guy.
Just not a tall one, but I'm fucking badass. Anyway,
I think I wanted to hit on the sponsorship, like I said, is only because of what I heard.
We could do a deep dive into that.
We could,
but what you said was a key point, and I've told Matt this, and I've told Brandon this because Brandon goes, last time I called you guys, the 3 times it was like 4 a.m. I didn't have to be at work till 6 for one,
and I woke him up, and then I felt bad.
But don't.
Yeah, but you can't feel that way. No, that's what he took that job on
but like you said, sponsorship's over. I've been through the steps.
No. My sponsor, no. His sponsorship will never end with me. He'll always be that person that is my sponsor, right? When shit gets real sideways.
Brandon, answer this one. Let's see if you can get this motherfucker right, since he's on top of it. What else do I tell you about this phone? Call me. How many? What is my timeline for as far as calling me? If shit's in the fan, when can you call me? When can you not?
I don't know. I don't think you've ever told me not to call you at a certain time.
Middle of the night, I don't give a shit.
I don't.
That's why it's on. And I've said that to everybody. What pisses me off, what you had said about Gabe, Matt has done this quite a bit. And Matt, if you're listening to this, we've talked about it. He'll call me in the morning when he was going to work. Hey, Robert, we'll talk about, maybe a 15-minute conversation of what he went through that night.
Right.
And I said, you motherfucker. And I told him, you're a motherfucker.
Right.
Paused. I go, you could have called me at midnight when this was going on. We could have had this 15-minute call. Now you feel, Rob, thanks. I feel so much better. Yeah. We could have went back to sleep and not ruined.
Brandon ruined a whole weekend.
Yeah, squandered that time. Yeah. Fuck, time is precious, man.
1-1.
Call me.
And that's what I go back and I say, I can't sit there and stew over something. I got to talk.
Because we're being selfish.
You know, if I'm in, because I travel all the time, if I'm sitting at a dinner place and I really feel an urge to drink, Rob would be that first person I called, right? That's where my sponsor would come in, right? That would be it.
And
if I didn't call Katie first.
But you said it, when you don't, Brandon, when you don't, Matt, when you don't, Rob,
right.
Call your brothers. You are being selfish.
1,000%.
Taking away an opportunity for us to be of service to a brother we love and care about.
Right.
You're taking that away from us.
Because how free did you feel when Gabe started talking to you yesterday? What instantly happened to you? Instantly happened.
Oh, I felt.
You didn't think about yourself.
No, you're right.
You did not think about yourself one bit.
No. How
can
yourself.
I help him? Yeah.
How can I get him through this?
The minute I turned around and I saw that pain, and because I heard it, he's sitting right behind me, right? Yeah. And I heard it in his voice. And as soon as I heard it, I had to turn around and look at him. And then I saw the pain and I'm like, I just wanted to grab him and take all that pain away from him. But I mean, I'm just letting him get it out because I knew if I interrupted, right, it was going to take away what he needed. And I just let him vent. And he literally was not on topic. He wasn't, and not a man in that room gave a shit, right? Every man in that room was just letting him have it all out.
Because that's the topic.
Oh, yes. At that point, it was the topic, right? Mm-hmm. And every man in that room has been there. We've all felt it.
Or is there.
Are working through it.
Or headed there.
That's where I say we don't have one sponsor. We have that man that got us through the steps because we don't do that in a committee, right? We don't do our steps in a committee.
My chicken died and not everybody needs to fucking know that.
But we stay sober in a committee. You know what I mean?
And again, I didn't have this.
No.
Where you guys are at, I had an 80-year-old male, well, actually he was 70 at the time, and I didn't have that. And I wasn't calling him. And we all know who it is. And I love him with all my heart. However, so I suffered in silence a lot in early sobriety. I was grinding. By God's grace and His grace only did I make it. But we got a gift. You guys have a gift. Use that motherfucker. We got a body.
This is what I say all the time. I preached this when I was just at Maynard yesterday. I preached it and I preached it and I preached it.
And when he says preach, Brandon, he fucking preaches.
I do because I sat right there and I told him, I said,
I'll be there for the next sermon.
I said, you guys, I made them all stand up. I told everybody to stand up. So everybody stood up. Yeah. And when they stood up, I said, now everybody but one sit down because there was exactly 11 people in that room. I said, now everybody but one of you sit down. I said, that's how many people are going to stay sober out of this entire group is that one person, unless you guys stick together.
If the mathematics are sound, that's exactly right.
And I said, you guys, unless you get yourself involved in a group,
sponsorship,
you have a plan. And I went back on something you told me, Rod, last time you spoke up there. I said, and a plan is not getting your job back. A plan is not getting your wife back. A plan is not figuring out how to get out of jail or stay out of jail. That's not a fucking plan. You leave here, you better have a plan on how to stay sober, right? That's the plan you better have. The rest of that shit, it's going to come in.
It's contingent on that first plan.
Correct. Because if you go back out and start drinking again, all that shit's going to happen anyways. It's going to go away. It's going to be gone. Unless you have a plan to stay sober, you ain't got a plan. Because all you're going to do is go out and come right back in.
We should get Brandon up there to speak.
There is so many people in there that it was their second or third or fourth time. And that just breaks me because every time you ask them, what did you not do? I didn't stay involved. I mean, it's just that, and I don't even need to hear the answer.
We know it.
I don't even need to hear the fucking answer.
Basically, but the answer is basically, I try to do it my own way.
The one guy said, I did it for my kids the first time. Then I did it for my wife the second time. This time I'm doing it for me. And I go, does that mean you're going to stay sober this time? Yep. What are you going to do?
What's your plan? Well, when I get
what
out of
is
here,
your
I'm
plan?
going to go back to work and get my job. And you hear that shit. You don't hear, I'm going to get a sponsor. I'm going to work these fucking steps to the best of my ability. You don't hear that.
There was one guy that was his third time, and he said when I walked in, he was literally sitting at the table there, and he was working in the book. And I ended up talking with him for a little bit, and he said it was his third time. And I asked him the same question, and he goes, I go, what's different this time? He goes, well, this time I'm working the steps. I'm like, good for you.
And Brandon did that. He talks about his going in and out and then doing it on his own.
Right.
I went to rehab twice, but there were 30 years in between.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, yeah. We did talk about that.
Yeah, I went to rehab when I was 17, then 47.
Right.
I got sober at 49.
Anyways, I wanted to step on that a little bit. We say sponsor on the show a lot, we say it, but I don't think we've actually really dug into it a lot.
We need to dig into it.
I think we need to get into it a little bit further. I am going to ask, and I didn't last time, if you're needing some help or know somebody that needs help, reach out to us. It's at recoveryunfilteredpodcast at gmail.com. Reach out to us. We have had a few people, but you know what? I love the comments that come back into us. Great job, but I know there's people listening that need help.
That disagree with us and want to argue.
I'll give you Rob's cell phone number for that one. I don't like to argue.
I love that. Not argue, but disagree. I mean, I want to hear that because debate. I mean, not debate, but iron sharpens iron.
Right.
I'm a dull motherfucker, so sharpen me up. I mean, I may or may not listen to those comments, but if you disagree, let's have them.
Brandon, how you feeling?
I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a good day. I just got to keep this good thing rolling.
But that's contingent on you, right?
Yeah.
A lot of it is. Life's going to happen.
I'll disagree with you on that. 1,000% contingent on us.
We are as happy as we choose to be.
Right.
Right. Choice.
Yeah, it's.
I can control my attitude and my effort. Other than that, it's a crapshoot.
And your actions.
Attitude and effort.
Okay. I still say actions because your actions could do a lot. Your actions is sitting there.
Effort is action.
Okay. But if you're sitting there with your hat down over your eyes and your arms crossed, you are being a negative Nancy. Yeah. And that is fucking, and you might as well be drunk. Right.
Yeah, might as well.
And reach out to somebody, reach out to a sponsor, reach out to somebody when you get like that. Do not let stuff dwell on you. That's what sponsorship is for.
That's what Brotherhood is for.
And I thank you, Rob. I was just getting ready to say that because if you don't have a group, find a group, get a couple people out of your AA meetings.
Start your own group. Ask God.
Start a group. Get outside of AA.
And if the sponsor you have isn't working for you, get another one.
Fire that motherfucker.
And if he's got a problem with it, he'll pray for you.
Experience.
Fire that prick.
Yeah.
And I said that the other night up there at Maynard's too. I'm like, if you don't like the sponsor you have, fire that prick.
And get another one.
Get another one. Right? You're
free.
Not married. Yeah, but I mean, just get your sobriety, man, because there's just nothing.
It's your life.
Yep.
It's your sobriety.
Right.
It's your recovery.
It's your way of, it's your happiness and your peace and your serenity. Find it. Grab a hold of it. Don't let go of it.
Can we have a
fight for it?
I do.
Can we have one more? There's a caveat to that. If your sponsor, if you're
it's a big word.
If you want to, it's only like seven letters. Anyway, if you want to fire your sponsor, I mean, if he's not working for you, which means if he's holding you accountable, if he's trying to make you do the work, that's not a reason to fire him.
No.
If you can't get, if he's not, you know what I mean.
No, you're 1,000% correct. But that
if you've met with your sponsor 3 times and you haven't talked about step work yet, that's not the right guy.
Right. You're right.
But that same person that you just talked about, Rob, is going to go get drunk anyways.
You're right.
Yeah, I mean they're not looking for a sponsor. If that guy's pissed off at their sponsor, they're going to go get fucking drunk, right? If you're at your sponsor and he's pissed off at you because he's making you do the 4-step, you got a fucking problem.
Yeah.
And if your sponsor doesn't piss you off, you probably got a piss poor sponsor.
You never pissed me off.
You sure? Even afterwards?
No.
Never said nothing to piss you off? Well,
no.
I will.
You know why? I think I know why.
Hold your
you never
breath.
pissed me off is because everything you would tell me, I knew in my mind, I knew that I was fucked up and I knew I had to fix. By the time I had gotten to Rob, I was just fucking depleted. I was literally depleted and knew nothing about me was right. I mean, I was broken, and I wanted to be a better man. Mm-hmm. I didn't like that way I was living.
You're a good man.
Well, I try. You know, once I saw the light of living with peace and serenity, I didn't want to go backwards.
And there's a great example. You can be, everybody listen, you can be a fucking asshole and still be a good man.
Thank you.
There he is.
He's accomplished it.
Because I am an asshole.
Yeah.
Just ask me. All right, let's get out of here. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Brandon. Why do I keep fucking Brad? I got Brad on the brain today.
Your
Love.
love.
Later.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today.
We hope you learned something today that will help you.
If you did not, come back next week and we'll try again.
If you like what we heard, give us a 5-star review. If you don't like what you heard, kiss my... You can't say that, can you? Anyway, if you don't like what you heard, go ahead and tell us that too. We'll see what we can improve. We probably won't change nothing, but do it anyway.
Hey, thanks, Rob. Come back next week and hopefully something will be different and something will sink in.
This has been Recovery Unfiltered.